always a pleasure to see so many familiar faces and so many friends in the crowd. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this event. I think it's a wonderful way for Bob and I to get some message out to the community, and of course thank OLG for sponsoring this event. Without our sponsors we wouldn't get too far. So without further ado, I think I'll try to impart some of the things that have been happening over the past few months, and hopefully there'll be lots of time for questions at the end to touch on things that either I have mentioned and you want more information on, or things that I haven't mentioned. So it's certainly been an interesting year in 2010, and I'm quite sure that 2011 is going to prove to be exciting as well. The focus in 2010 was definitely the economy, and the economy continues to be the government's focus going into 2011. Canada is slowly recovering from the global economic recession, and we're all thankful that our country was in a solid position before the recession took hold. Organizations like the International Monetary Fund have praised Canada's strong economic credentials, and the World Economic Forum has ranked Canada's banks as soundest in the world for the third consecutive year. Things are undoubtedly better today, but we must not forget that current global economic challenges are still a threat to our recovery. Canada is not immune to economic uncertainty beyond our borders, and too many Canadians are still looking for work. Last fall, the government provided Canadians with an economic and fiscal update. We are right on track. Our federal deficit is lower this year than previously forecasted, and we are anticipating a balanced budget by 2015, before any of the other G7 countries. We value the concerns and opinions of Canadians, and we've launched economic consultations to seek Canadians' views on the next phase of the Economic Action Plan. I thank everyone here for their input into that process. The Chamber has always participated in these budget consultations locally, and this past fall they presented directly to the Finance Committee in Ottawa, so your voice is definitely being heard. 2010 was an exciting year as a leader on the world stage. Canadians across this country will never forget the outstanding performances of our Olympic and Paralympic athletes in Vancouver and Whistler. Canada was filled with pride as Canadian athletes delivered some of the most exciting moments in Canadian sporting history, including winning a record 14 gold medals, the most ever by a Winter Olympics host country, and the first Canadian gold medal won on home soil. Canada was a proud host of the G8 and G20 summits in June, and in November hosted the second annual conference for the Interparliamentary Coalition for Combating Anti-Semitism, where Canada was instrumental in developing the Ottawa Protocol, calling on governments and leaders of faith groups to combat all hatred and discrimination, including anti-Semitism. Canada has also played a leading role in providing international aid. We've committed to replenishing the African Development Fund, which contributes to the promotion of economic and social development in at least 38 African countries. We've provided humanitarian support for a series of natural disasters in Indonesia and for flood victims in Pakistan. And we are continuing our support to rebuild Haiti with funding to help with the cholera outbreak, basic first aid training programs, and the construction of a new headquarters for the Haitian National Police. Canada was one of the first countries to respond to the earthquake in Haiti, deploying civilian and military emergency management experts within hours of the crisis. Immediate humanitarian assistance was delivered, and Canada was among the countries leading emergency relief and reconstruction efforts. This is one area of foreign aid that this community is intimately involved with through the excellent work being done through Rajon. Our government is also delivering on the Muskoka Initiative, a commitment of $2.85 billion over 5 years to help promote maternal, newborn, and child health around the world. We are also contributing to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. Another initiative has been to create and strengthen economic ties with countries around the world. We've opened doors for Canadian businesses by concluding new free trade agreements with Colombia, Peru, Jordan, Panama, and the European Free Trade Association states. We are continuing to build a stronger economic relationship with China, and we have started negotiations to create a free trade agreement with India. Although Canada's #1 priority remains job creation and economic growth, the safety and security of family is also very important. We've been working to provide law enforcement and national security agencies with up-to-date tools to fight crimes associated with gangs, terrorism, and child sexual exploitation. There's been legislation proposed to toughen the laws protecting children from adult sexual predators, and we are creating and upgrading the child advocacy centers across the country. These centers are instrumental in helping reduce the trauma for young victims, making them better able to provide strong evidence. This will help lead to more convictions and punishments that better fit the crime. Other legislation that has been passed recently includes the Canadian Consumer Product Safety Act, which will strengthen Canada's product safety laws and better protect Canadian consumers and their families. Eliminating entitlements for prisoners, which terminates the payment of old age security benefits to prisoners. Fighting internet and wireless spam to protect Canadian businesses and consumers from the most harmful and misleading forms of online threats. Gender equity in Indian registration, which addresses a court ruling on gender discrimination in the Indian Act. Tackling auto theft and property crime, which cracks down on auto theft and trafficking in property that is obtained by crime. And celebrating Canada's seniors, which creates a National Seniors Day to recognize the significant and continuing contributions that seniors make to their families, communities, workplaces, and society. Another thing that may be of interest to this community is the newly announced award program to recognize Canada's volunteers. This program will recognize the outstanding contributions of Canadians who volunteer their time, energy, and talents to helping others, as well as local business leaders and individuals from not-for-profit organizations that make a difference in their communities. A total of 17 Prime Minister's Volunteer Awards will be presented annually. 15 regional awards will be presented to volunteers, business leaders, and individuals from not-for-profit organizations. There will also be 2 national awards, one to recognize lifelong achievements and one for a young adult. Regional award recipients will receive a $5,000 grant for the not-for-profit organization of their choice, while national award recipients will receive $10,000 for their organization of choice. The first call for nominations will open in April of this year during National Volunteer Week, and recipients will be announced later in the year. One of the federal programs that many in this room are familiar with is FedDev Ontario. In the past year, FedDev Ontario has committed more than $500 million in community and economic development funding to projects all across Southern Ontario. This has created new jobs, increased business activity, and provided economic stability to the region. FedDev is creating new opportunities and a stronger economy for Southern Ontario. We are investing in projects across the region, setting the course for growth by creating new jobs and supporting renewal of businesses and communities, and stimulating economic growth by making Southern Ontario more competitive, innovative, and diversified. Through a series of initiatives launched this past year, we've taken steps to make the most of the potential that exists here in Southern Ontario, in our ideas, our resources, technologies, products, services, and people. We want to ensure our businesses and communities have the tools they need to innovate so the economy can grow now and in the future. We've launched a series of new initiatives designed to help create a Southern Ontario advantage, including the Applied Research and Commercialization Initiative, Technology Development Program, Graduate Enterprise Internship, Scientists and Engineers in Business, Investing in Business Innovation, Prosperity Initiative, and the Youth STEM Initiative.